everybody, it's 4 o'clock, Cape Town. My name is Marietta. I promised on my Facebook pages that I would go live this afternoon. I'm sorry that it's so dark, but I'm still testing the live channel and my picture and the visibility of it. But let's get straight into it. It's today, the 13th of March, and it's 2021, and it's today a new moon in Pisces, where we find that there are 4 planets in Pisces, which means that we're all a bit confused. We don't know where we are. We are kind of feeling nebulous, without grounding, groundless. And it's also a very good time, a new moon, to be starting something new, to have new beginnings. A new moon is always for new beginnings. So let's start from here onwards. I asked some people to give me their circumstances, to use them as examples for how to choose a new work situation, or how to look at when you've been unemployed and you want to get back to work, or somebody passed and your husband passed or your wife passed and you have to get back to work. Let's all face it that number one, what I need to say here is, if you have been a housewife your whole life, and you've been married for 40, 50 years or 60 years, you need to know, and there needs to be transparency in your relationship, in your marriage, that you are well looked after if you have chosen to be a stay-at-home mom. If you do not have transparency and you're not in a good relationship, in a good marriage, in other words, then it's up to you to keep working or to keep being busy and looking after yourself financially, that you never get to the point where suddenly your spouse passes on and then you sit without anything. And believe it or not, I've had clients like that who didn't look and who didn't want to know and who didn't ask, who didn't insist on knowing from their husbands where they stand financially, which is your right if you made a decision to stay at home for the sake of the children or whatever reason it was, or that you worked for your husband and then you were not paid an income, which, by the way, is not acceptable. Unless you're both surviving and you're both pulling a business through, and your husband is a business owner, you need to still earn an income if you work for your life partner. So let's get into this, because there is no excuse if suddenly at the age of 65, 67, 68, your spouse dies, and then you sit there and say, but what am I going to do now? I didn't know that there wasn't enough money and that there was no money for me, because we cannot play this trump card anymore of being helpless, because there's no excuse for not taking responsibility for your own situation and for your own life going forward. Let's start without any ado with some people that I used as an example. And I want to start off with Charmaine Fouchier. Charmaine, you asked me, what should you be doing? You feel stuck. You got divorced. You're still working with your husband and you don't know what to do. Number one, Charmaine, you're never stuck because you always have choices. So the choice here is, do you really want to work with your ex-husband and his new girlfriend in a position where you are not comfortable. That is the choice. Because if you have been working in a certain position for your husband, now ex-husband, then you can find another work and you will not be stuck. But it takes action. You need to get up and make the decision that you will apply for other jobs without any excuses. By the way, 2021 is a good year for you to find another job. And I also had a good look at where you are at, because you also said you cannot move on emotionally. Well, you can't move on emotionally if you still sit in the sewage together with your ex-husband and his new girlfriend, and you actually left him because of cheating, because you keep yourself stuck in this sewage because you can't smell of roses if you don't leave this hole. Very important for you to also know that your life mission is to be your own authority, to work for your money, to be a housewife or a nurturer or a caregiver is your comfort zone. It's not your life challenge. It's not your life mission. Your life mission, and all of those born in 1973, except for December, have a life mission of needing to be the breadwinner till the day that they die. So in other words, it will always be a challenge for them to be a breadwinner, to work hard, to be with their own authority. Often also people that have this kind of life mission are very good in corporate environments or in their own jobs. And they're also very good at being accountants or bookkeepers, or really looking at life black and white, and at the end of the line, can they repay for and fill their budget? Can they really come up with the right kind of money? So, Charmaine Fouchier, for you, very important to realize that you need to get up and start applying for something else, somewhere else, to look at other avenues, to look also whether you might be able to do some extra training to get into another direction. You are not stuck at all unless you want to be stuck, and then you have chosen to actually be happy in suffering, because that is what you are at the moment. You make your circumstances responsible for your life, which it is not. Your choices will either keep you stuck, and then you have only yourself to blame, or you actually get up and you do something about it, because this year is the right year for it. Unstable internet. I hope it's moving further on. Otherwise, I will have to start this all over again. You really need to find another work to be able to move on, Charmaine Fouchier, because nobody else will do it for you. Circumstances will not get better, but most probably worse. So it's up to you to change this year your circumstances. Next person is Karen Smith. You want to get out of teaching because of health and because of not earning enough salary. You're also somebody, Karina Smith, that is born 1973. In other words, the same as Charmaine. You have a life mission of being your own authority, to be a breadwinner, to make ends meet. And maybe it's important that you do not use your health as an excuse to want to get out of teaching, because teaching is actually a very good profession. But if you don't earn enough money to pay for the bills, then maybe start something on the sideline, which would be only good from next year onwards. So even now getting out of teaching wouldn't be wise. I would also advise you what I see at the moment, that maybe you take on an online teaching job. In other words, that you already have your degree or teaching diploma, that you do a TEFL course teaching English foreign language, and that you then have more of your own time, you can make your own money, and you might even be able to start something else on the sideline to make some extra money, because it's your life mission to be a breadwinner here, not to make your health as an excuse, because anyway, you need to be working. And very often we then become diseased, or people, when they become diseased or sick, it's just a very dysfunctional way of trying to get away from what you need to do for yourself, because nobody else is responsible for your life. Karina, you're very good at teaching, you're very good at marketing, you're very good with community, you're very good with family, you're very good with people as such, and you need community, humanity, teaching, voicing, communicating, coaching. It's all 100% your talents. So do not think in terms of black and white and make excuses with your health, because as soon as you stop resisting something and you make it more workable for yourself, and maybe even, like I saw immediately, online teaching, because then you choose your own hours and you actually become better paid than what you would otherwise do, especially in this country. And with 2021, we can apply globally for jobs. And we are also in the market globally for jobs. And 1973 are people who are still quite young, because in the 50s is really not old age, and not really any reason to think in terms of old age or going on pension or not working. Because if I think about it, I only started when I was 49, 50 with all my television productions, which were in the end between 50 and 63 years of age, over 100 productions of TV. So there is no way that we can think that we need to scale down at the age of 49, 50, or even 60, because it's just a mindset. It's not the truth. It might be a dysfunctional belief that you have, that you now want to sit at home and bake cookies. No, not for anybody born in 1973. Not on. The next person is Sanette Mans. You lost your husband 2 years ago, and you want to be pushed by the universe with something to do, where I feel you need to know, Sanette, that you're very much a social person. You're very much a person who needs to also be independent, self-sufficient. And this year is a year of lots of changes, where even your life mission says to me that it's not about knowledge for you, but it's about philosophies, metaphysical teachings, nature, animals, humanity, serving humanity, being there for other people. Even, well, a non-profit organization won't pay you much money, but you need to also realize that you cannot just wait for something to be pushed, because when we wait for the universe to push us, it's normally with suffering and pain, because we then resist the changes. Where at the moment, I would suggest to you, Sanette, to also get yourself a deck of cards of angels, or the tarot deck, and to learn about philosophies, because also faith is a very important aspect to your being and who you are, and that it's actually very important that you do something that you can do on your own, and that you can choose your own hours. So even a state agency or a selling job or a marketing job or a teaching job, anything around these aspects, I would say that it's not a bad idea to look into something else and to say, what would you really love to do? Because you like to choose your own hours, you like to be outside, you like to drive around, you like to travel. Travel agencies at the moment won't do very well because of the pandemic and that all the borders are still closed. But tourist business, travel business, even events management would be good for you. So have a look here, because you need to really put your mind together here, do some brainstorming for yourself and decide what you want to do, and then do it, because you still have certain monies in the background that you can use to get a start into something, should you start something like real estate or events management or a marketing job or going into a selling job, because it would even suit you to do a job that doesn't have a set salary, because you like to actually be in competition with yourself. So let's have a look at Anna Rita from Mark. You asked me that also your husband has passed away, and that you are an assessor for road accident fund, and that the contract doesn't come in, plus you haven't been paid. So people, please, Anarita, you're also one of those people that unfortunately goes completely into, I'm going to sacrifice myself. You have a clear problem and issue with boundaries. You think that you can work for humanity, but if you don't get paid, it's actually saying to other people, I'm not worth it. Because money equals energy. And if we put in energy into any kind of job, we need to also know that this is a planet of reciprocity, which means we need to give. And when we give something, we need to also receive back. So if you haven't been paid for a while, then it's up to you. And especially as an assessor, you will find work in insurance businesses. There's a lot of companies that will need an assessor, and what you've been learning, and you're in the right year to make this change, because you also need to work always with a project like you've done here. As an assessor, you also work with a certain project. You look at a bigger project, and you do something with all kinds of people of all cultures, all races, and that is basically your life mission. It's very much not to be a leader of the pack here, but to work with all kinds of people that you see as equal, and you will get along with all kinds of people. So, and I nearly want to say all around the world nowadays, we have all cultures in every country, and you will be doing very well if you change this year and find something else, because nobody asks of you to work for nothing unless you're really undervaluing yourself, having no self-worth, no boundaries, no empowering yourself. And then you mustn't keep anybody else responsible or to blame, because you're the only one to blame, because you need to make a change. Just to stay at a job for the job's sake or for whatever sake doesn't make sense. So change this year, because this is the right year. I also realized that obviously you said you're doing some extra sewing for income. That is quite nice, but it doesn't fit into your life mission unless you really build up something properly, a business, where you then employ also different cultures, and you teach them how to sew. So you start a little factory or little business with sewing, maybe uniforms or something for businesses or for schools, or in that way. So give it a good thought, because you always need to have different cultures, different religions, different even language groups that you work together in a bigger project for the good of all, for the good of humanity. So give it a thought whether you want to put your part-time business and make it a full-time business with employing 2 to 3 ladies that you can teach how to sew, or you teach them what you want to sew, and you have a look and you put on a business plan and you have a look what you really want to do and where you want to specialize, because making uniforms for certain businesses or for the banks or for schools is still an avenue that will make you money. The next one is Trinity. You ask me, is it your calling to do voice overs and voice work? Trinity, you're very much a therapist. You're very much a loner. Your life mission is very much based in hands-on, also voice and everything tangible, but it won't be enough to make you a living. Although this year I would first stick to it, because you're in a year where you need to find your own spiritual path. And it's not necessarily your calling. What is your calling, your mission in life this lifetime around, is that you accept the fact that you cannot sit back and not work, because in a past lifetime you came from royal descent and you didn't need to work for yourself. Where this lifetime, please be very practical, be very real, that you need to make your own income with either hands-on or really working. And a lot of people with this kind of life mission, as you have, they are really good people that are also all-rounders, like a woman working on the farm, or a person doing all kinds of jobs, from filling shelves in doing the till and working on a workshop and being on the computer. So it's all-rounders, but it's very tangible, it's very hands-on. And that is what you need to do. So is voiceovers or your voice really your calling? If you've always used your voice, then it might be that communication is part of what you really want to do and that it's your passion. But do not neglect the fact that you need to look at the end of the month whether you can pay your bills. The next one is Hendy or Henrietta Nietlang. You asked me that you said you haven't been in a job for long, you're withdrawing, you're scared of people. Well, Henrietta, Hendy, Nietlang, a lot of us are at the moment withdrawn from people after the pandemic and a year of lockdown, which was quite severe here in South Africa. But it's no excuse for you not to work. But immediately when I looked at you, my feeling is you do sabotage yourself very easily. You do make excuses for yourself. You do stay stuck in depression. You're nearly comfortable in depression because your psyche is also Scorpion. So you love being in this low mood, depressive, moaning, blaming kind of mood. You need to shake yourself out of this, because your life path says to me that you need to work hard. Your whole life you need to recognize the fact that nothing comes for nothing. That it's still very much a universal law, is that if you don't put in, you won't get out. So no excuses, because I feel that you still have some monies here, or that you can live off something here. But my feeling is you need to do things that also have to do with working with other people, pretty much working also with other cultures, and working with projects or with a bigger community to really also make a difference here for humanity or for community or for other people. You're also very intuitive, but that means also that you need to be discerning. You need to have boundaries in place, but you also need intention and focus to get yourself now going, because this year I would pretty much concentrate on temporary jobs to do initially, to get some money in, to build up courage to get back into the market. So have a look at temporary jobs and apply with a temporary personnel company to see what you can really put in place, because to say you're afraid of people and you've withdrawn is your own way to actually, in the end, stumble yourself, sabotage yourself, and make yourself more miserable. And nobody else can do it for you, but you need to do it for yourself. So if you're comfortable in a depression, if you're comfortable in suffering and pain, if you're comfortable in your ways of living, which are very dysfunctional, and this is a statement that I make to everybody of you, if you're really comfortable in your own suffering and that makes you actually happy because you get attention from other people, then you need to really know that you need to shake and wake yourself up and step up here, step up, maybe get a reading, go for therapy, have some coaching, but get yourself out of that mold, because you cannot have something else if you do not decide to change your ways. And change doesn't have to do with, okay, I want to change, but then you don't do anything about it, because only action can bring you positive karma. An action that is with motivation and goodwill and courage will bring you positive consequences and positive karma. In other words, of course, you will find a job. No age, no race, nothing is an excuse to not finding work. The next one is also Emily Smith-Velchek. You said also, will you find work? And very similar here to Hendy Nietling, that you're withdrawn from people where it doesn't suit you at all. Emily Belshizek Smith, to be withdrawn from people because you're actually a person who's extremely excessive, extremely restless. You want to be out there. You want to do things. You're not a relationship person. You're in a new cycle. And your life mission is to make a difference in the world. So you need to actually step up and become a leader in some other field and become very much employable by also doing extra courses, maybe even in being an analyst or being specific in a certain kind of field. And because you have a lot of ideas, but you need to become active, because you need to make a difference in the world and not just sit and have nothing to do. And most probably you just sit and smoke or drink or being excessive or eat too much, being overweight, where you need to get going. And also to really find another job or to be a better person, we all need to watch that we're not overweight. There's no excuse for that. Doing exercises, drinking your water, eating healthy food, refraining from sugar, alcohol, smoking, and beware drugs, because that is not a healthy lifestyle, and it will not help you finding a job or making a change or moving house or having a better life or finding a relationship, or the relationship finds you. No way can you accept anything, because the fried chicken won't fly into your mouth. You need to get going actively. Only with action and movement can you create positive karma and a change to your life. Otherwise, you will have the same old, same old, same old. And everybody of any age today needs to look at it to also do extra courses, because it's so easy nowadays to go online, to learn extra things, and to become more equipped to be part of a platform, of a workable, employable platform. The last but not the least is Debbie Lombard. And you, Debbie, yes, you asked me, and that is where I want to say here. You said, am I just studying because I'm bored? I want to say to everybody here, deep down, our spirit is in communication with us all the time. And if we make time for meditation, which is also hard work, and prayer, which is also an action, we need to listen to the inner voice, because call it God's voice, the inner voice, our intuition, our sixth sense. But we need to make time for that. And Debbie, you had your answer. You study for masters and for honors and whatever you're studying for is because it's your comfort zone. It's not your life mission. Your life mission is not in knowledge. So it will bring you nothing else extra. Nothing. It's not worth your time. Your life mission is actually that you need to be a pioneer in what you do, that you need to not focus on partnerships and relationships or teamwork or coaching, most probably not even teaching, because you need to do something where you are uniquely in this on your own, choosing something where you are the pioneer to doing what you're doing. Plus that you need to be independent, self-sufficient, on your own feet, doing your own thing. And if you then want to work with people or whatever you said with whom you would like to teach here, I would say you do not need to do masters or honors degrees here, because it's really just your comfort zone. But get online maybe and do a TEFL course, and then from there build an own business, because not even teaching and teamwork or coaching is really here your life mission. It's something else, and I would look at something else, and I would pray for an answer or insight or a stirring for what you could do here. And remember that this year is actually a good year for you to look at different arenas, different fields of what you want to do, so that you can do something where you don't need to be in a partnership. And you might even find that you want to teach individuals in business or in a certain age group over online, but that it's your own business, that you're not employed by somebody else. But I really would look into this and stop all the studying, because the studying is just your comfort zone and not really. And the studying is really where you shouldn't be focusing, because it's the area which will in the end depress you, because it's a certain comfort zone, but it's also the wolf that you shouldn't feed. So get out of this and get into your life mission, which is being a pioneer, being on your own, not focusing on relationships and partnerships, not focusing on teams, not focusing on groups, but on self and doing your own thing. If it's then with a contribution to society, it's okay, but you're on the wrong track, Debbie. I hope that the examples of these people have given also you some food for thought, and you would like to find out more for yourself. you can go to my website, mariettatennyson.com, and make a booking, pay online. I work globally every single day, and I've been doing this for 40 years. So I wish you all a wonderful weekend, a lovely Saturday evening, and namaste.